You can have a $3 million net worth and still feel like you can't afford a $50,000 expense. That isn't a wealth problem. It's a structural liquidity trap. And it's the most expensive mistake you can make. We analyzed the raw data of 752 households at our firm, managing $844 million in assets, to see exactly how the top quartile structures their wealth during their peak earning years. Today, I'm showing you those benchmarks and, more importantly, how to restructure your portfolio so your capital is actually accessible before the IRS says you're allowed to touch it. Let's go into the 40s now. So where are we at when we're in our 40s? Now, this is the decade that I'm currently in. I think it's the best decade so far until I get to my 50s. Of course, I'm going to love that even more. But when you're in your 40s, the average Verde client has between 699,000 and 1.059. For most of you that are in the top 25% of income earners or asset earners, this is when you become a millionaire. Congratulations, you've made it. You're doing so well. But your 40s are littered with all kinds of do's and don'ts. So let's go through those. Number one, maximize your income. This is the perfect decade to earn a lot of money. You have the right blend of energy and time. You're now an expert in your field. You've been doing it for 20 years, and you can command top pay. Use this decade to get your peak productivity and your peak income. Number two, balance your needs and wants. Your kids will be getting older and you'll want to travel. You'll want to give them experiences before it's too late. So use the golden goose to supplement your income. This is where you buy the four-wheeler. This is where you do the ski trip and you do all the adventure trips that you want to do, where you go to Europe and you see Machu Picchu and you take that cruise that you've always wanted to do. Number three, pay off your mortgage. I'm a big proponent of the 15-year mortgage. Again, if we bought our house in our 30s, in our mid 40s, we're going to be paying it off. I've got a separate video on the differences between the 15 and the 30-year mortgage. I'm going to link that below for you to see. You'll want to get into those 50s debt-free and mortgage-free so that you can supercharge your retirement savings. But in order to do that, you need to pay off your mortgage. Can't do that if you keep upgrading your house. Can't do that if you keep changing houses. So stay put and pay off your mortgage. Some don'ts in your 40s. Don't buy a second home. So many people make the mistake of getting a cottage or buying a second home. Why? So you can go there for like once every couple of weeks and it's just maintenance and nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. Many of our Verde clients have come to regret buying second homes. Alternatively, I'd say look at fractional scenarios. There's a company out there called Picasso where you can buy a fraction of a house. Fantastic. Love it. The utility rate is much higher, right? Airbnb, Verbo. If you want to travel, go stay there for a month. Fantastic. Go to the same place for every month. It's way cheaper than buying a house and having a second mortgage, the second set of everything. Don't get divorced. This is the decade where I tend to see marriages start to like wobble a little bit. There's like work, kids, parents, all stresses. Remember, you can insure against death or disability, but not against divorce. Giving up 50% or more of everything that you built and earned financially together is super hard. One of the things I do is divorce financial planning. It's not something I wanted to do. I kind of fell into it, to be honest, because I was watching people destroy their lives in the middle of divorces. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Next, keep it simple. Your investment should be approaching $1 million or more at this point. You'll be tempted to do things that you think rich people are doing, right? Like funding your friend's restaurant venture. Don't do that. Stick with what works. Stocks and liquid investments. Keep it super, super simple. I fell down this trap where I started in my 40s to do things like, well, maybe I'll do a private equity deal, or maybe I'll invest in this. I lost $165,000 last year investing in a company where I absolutely thought the person that was running it was brilliant. Due to market conditions and some things happening politically, the market just shifted from that company and boom, all that money wiped out. So before you start to think rich people have like this thing figured out, no, they don't. They just have a lot more money to play with. If you're in your 40s, you've got $1 million, you should stick with what works. What worked for you up to this point is stocks, and stick with stocks. We're into the 50s at this point. We've made it. These are our golden years. They're awesome. We're at 1.124 to 1.803 million for this decade for Verde clients. Now you're approaching that multimillionaire status, which is so exciting. A couple of do's and don'ts for the 50s. Only 2 do's here. Wind down your career. Start thinking about the exit strategy. How much longer do you want to work? See if you're going to go to part-time as an option. Work on becoming job optional. This is the point at which your portfolio should start rivaling you in terms of earning potential. If let's say you've got a portfolio of $1.5 million and you're earning a 10% return, your portfolio is making 150 grand a year. That's not chump change. If you and your spouse is making 150 grand a year, now you've got a third person in your house working. Your portfolio is that third person. Number two, sell the business or do a succession plan. Figure out how you want to sell it. Will your kids take over? Will you sell it to a competitor? Is private equity an option? We've got a couple of advisors here that are SEPA. SEPA stands for Certified Exit Planning Advisor. They're people that will essentially help you figure out, do I want to continue to run my business? Do I want to transition it? And inadvertently, you're making that decision every year, whether you know it or not. Here's the real sad statistic. 65% of businesses never transition voluntarily, meaning something happens to the owner. They died, they become disabled, they become divorced. Remember, you've built this thing, it's your baby. Monetize it, get something for it. A couple of don'ts in your 50s. Don't increase your allocation to bonds. You may be tempted to do this. And there are a lot of people on YouTube that will tell you, as you get older, you should shift your allocation to bonds. They don't read research studies like I do. Go out there and look at the Cedarburg study. It found that all equity stock portfolios were not just more profitable for people in retirement. They ended up having 30 to 50% more wealth, but their chances of running out of money were much, much lower. In this case, 9% versus 21% for those portfolios that started to increase their allocation to bonds as they got older. So if you can stomach the volatility, stick with stocks. Don't get divorced. Again, the consequences at this stage are extreme. You got $2 million. Remember, you're going to lose half of it. It's kind of late to rebuild in your 50s. Last one, get the kids off the payroll. By the time you're 50 years old, most of your kids will be going off to college. They will naturally want to become more independent. That independence and that freedom that you give them should come with the responsibility of taking care of their own finances. So this is the point at which you get them off the cell phone bill. You start like asking them, hey, once you get a job, you go on your own insurance and stop asking me for money. It's that simple. By keeping them dependent on you in the form of them asking you for income, you're doing them a disservice. The 60s, here we are on the verge of retirement here. We've got 1.691 million to 3.6 million. Look at that. These people are now not just in the mass affluent, but sometimes in the affluent category. And what are some do's and don'ts for them? Number one, retire with dignity. Make a plan to leave your job. So many people stick around for too long in their jobs, right? And they're not making room for that next generation. Go do the things you've wanted to do. You've worked, you've earned it at this point. Next thing, start taking income from your portfolio. Start working with your financial advisor to make a distribution plan for your dividends and interest. Schedule regular withdrawals from your individual retirement account. Most people do not have the tools that are necessary to really look at like the tax ramifications of an investment portfolio and where they should draw funds to optimally do retirement withdrawals. This is where a financial advisor can make a huge difference. And we'll do another video on this because I think it's such an important topic. It deserves its own. But if you've structured your portfolio correctly, you're going to have some money tax-free, some money taxable, 401ks, IRAs, pensions, and some money that's taxed along the way, like a regular brokerage account, the golden goose, to where you can actually tax optimize across those three areas and have an effective tax rate in retirement that's like the envy of the world. Take Social Security and Medicare. You saved into the system, take it before it runs out. And the healthcare options, start looking at things like, do you want to go the Medigap route, Medicare Advantage route? Those are important questions. Again, a financial advisor can help a lot with those. So can an insurance agent. Whatever track you pick, especially with Medicare, you're kind of on it for good. So if you go the Medigap route, you're stuck with Medigap. If you go Medicare Advantage, you're stuck with Medicare Advantage. There are some people that shouldn't do either, that should just take Medicare and self-insure for the difference. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing. And then the last thing is downsize to your retirement home. This is the point at which maybe your current home, the forever home that you've lived in, is no longer suiting you. It makes sense at this point to look at something smaller. If you wanted to move states, this is the time that you're going to do that. And maybe look at something newer, something with low maintenance that you can live in the rest of your life in peace and comfort. A couple of don'ts in your 60s. Don't increase your allocation to bonds. Those retirement fluctuations you're seeing like in the stock market might be freaking you out. When you add bonds to your portfolio, you will dramatically reduce the rate of return. Don't forget to budget. It may be prudent for you to look at your budgeting again and in preparation for your transition to retirement and the transition to fixed income, for you to look at, hey, how do we budget? How do we make sure that we don't overspend? Because if we're planning on living off $150,000 a year, we certainly can't be spending $200,000. It's important that you reharness that skill that you learned and you effectively used so well in your 20s and 30s. And the last, do not worry about money. Too many clients stress about money when they don't need to. 85% success rates are higher using a Monte Carlo tool that a financial advisor can help you with are plenty. You're going to be fine. We've made it through all of the decades, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond. But I said I was going to give you one extra bonus. So what is that extra bonus? I'm going to give you one simple rule that you can do throughout your life that I see virtually everybody screwing up. And that rule is about your liquidity percentage. So let's talk about what the liquidity percentage is. This is your ability to access your money without penalty. In my case right here, you could see this is my net worth, and then this is my investments altogether. So I've got about $8.8 million in investments, $33 million net worth. Now I'm 42 years old, okay? So my liquidity percentage should roughly equal my age. I should have roughly 42% of my assets liquid, accessible. Now, why is that? When you're in your 20s, having 20% liquidity makes sense. At that point, you're just paying down your student loans. Maybe most of the money that you're saving is in your 401k. When you get to 70, you'll need to access that 401k, but at that point, you'll have the ability to because you're old enough. But when you're 42, like me, you're in kind of this like no man's land. You don't have access to the 401k yet. So the $1 million that you put away there might as well be gone, not really mine. I need to have some accessibility to capital, right? What is that? That's the golden goose. That's the account that I can access. And in my case right now, if I'm looking at this, right, I've got a bunch of investments here, but I can see Roth IRA, can't touch that. Roth IRA, can't touch that. Savings account, yes, I can touch that. UTMA, these are child education funds. Here's my joint account, right? So if I'm looking at this, and if I was to be honest, I probably have $4 million that I can access out of 33 million, okay? Pretty low percentage, really low percentage. In fact, that's like 12, 13%. I should be at 42%. Now, why am I so low in this area? Well, because the majority of my money is stuck in Verde stock, right? I own Verde stock. I'm the majority owner of Verde. So my stock is stuck in my company, right? But unlike somebody like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, where their stock is publicly traded, mine is not. I have a private company. So this $15 million that's stuck in here, I cannot access. I cannot borrow against it. I can't do anything with it until I sell the company, which I don't really want to do. This is how you end up feeling poor even when you have a lot of money. You could end up with millions of dollars inside of a 401k or an IRA and end up having the opportunity to buy some great investment. But now because you have no liquidity, you can't get to it. Look at your age, figure out what is your liquidity percentage. I would love for you guys in the comments to just put in there, age 42, liquidity percentage 42. Let's just see and let's start a conversation and find out, where is everyone's liquidity percentage? My guess is that most of you that are watching this channel, even though you're high net worth, and even though you're probably a millionaire, have a liquidity percentage that's less than 30%. That's just my guess, my suspicion. Let's see where we're at. I'll do another video on maximizing your liquidity so that you can actually feel wealthy, not just be wealthy. We'll see you all next time.